a good research. In this international conference on advanced research methods, tools, and techniques for multidisciplinary research design. So multidisciplinary research design is possible if at all we are going to follow these top 10 qualities of a good research. Number one, we must understand what is research. Research is always a systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. And when we are talking about a systematic investigation, it is scientific, because you know very well that the technology has vastly improved one's access to knowledge nowadays. So academic research involves many, I mean to say, important things like data analysis, data collecting, data analysis, leveraging academic writing tools, all are available nowadays. So multidisciplinary research is a research technique in which tools from different sciences and disciplines are used to find an explanation for questions being studied. So multidisciplinary research is needed to solve many, if not at all major research challenges for the next decade. So this is the basic format framework of research manuscript design, starting from title, abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. So I will be telling you 10 important qualities of a good research. How we will consider that a person is doing very good research, or the research outcome is very much qualitative. So number one is good research is anchored on a sound research question. So unless until we are not in a position to identify the absolute required research question, then probably the gap identification will be very poor for us. So a sound research question is one on the most important characteristics of a good research. And a good research question details exactly what a researcher wants to learn and defines a study scope, because scope studies is very important of any research. So we must know that what makes a research question good. Then the question comes, what makes a research question good? A research question must not be answered before. It has not been answered before. If at all this type of kind of like research questions we are identifying from our literature review, from our studies, from our observation, then it will add value to the research. And a good research question always aiming to increase the understanding of research subject. So without a good research question, it is very difficult to understand the research subject. So a good research question always generates more scope for research, for the theoretical and other progressive empirical works. So it is specific to the current interest of the research community. So we must remember that a good research is always based on FINER. FINE, F stands for visible, I stands for interesting, N stands for novel, and E stands for ethical, R stands for relevant. So we must see that the number one quality is good research is anchored on a sound research question. And the second is good research follows a systematic and appropriate research methodology. So when we are very much sure about the research question, the research gap, so we must apply the appropriate research methodology, which should be very, very systematic in nature. So choosing an appropriate research methodology always helps a researcher to ensure that the data collection, relevant data collection, and use right data analysis method. And if at all the data will be collected from the relevant sources, but the right methodology methods could not be applied, then the right analysis cannot be taken place. So research methodology refers to, as we know, very systematic procedure and techniques, and to ensure the study or the research we are doing, which is achieve some valid and reliable results. So in this way, we must focus. The first point is focus on the objective. So how objective will be created? Objective of a research will be created by identifying these research problems. When research problems will be converted into questions, then only our objective preparation will be very easy for us. Then identifying the second point is to identify research methods that suits your research problem. So we have to identify the research methods that will be very much conducive and suit to our research problem. Because you see, it is a chain. Without research problem, we cannot make research questions. If we cannot convert problem into questions, we cannot frame the objective properly. And if we cannot frame the objective properly, we cannot place the hypothesis in the right position. And we cannot derive correct, I mean to say, a very reliable result from that. And the third is we must select a particular research method. And the fourth is we have to consider that we are doing research for the further research researchers and readers, audience. So we must go for that whatever we are doing, whatever data we have collected, the accurate result to be produced. And the fifth stage is we must analyze the different type of data collection methods, looking into the feasibility of our study. And the last one is analyze different data analysis techniques. I mean to say, nowadays hybrid technology has taken place. We are following both qualitative and quantitative, and we are very much focusing on mixed methods, method analysis, data analysis. So in that way, we must follow, a good researcher must follow a systematic and appropriate research methodology. This is the second quality. And the third quality is good research acknowledges previous research on the topic. You remember, when a researcher is going to start its own research, it leads to the discovery of new knowledge. As you know, we have already discussed from the beginning, research is meant to apply these scientific studies to derive some new outcomes. And if at all the previous studies having some gaps, having some problems, gaps may be in population, gaps may be in methods, gap may be in population, gap may be in other parts. So we have to identify the gap, and accordingly we have to study the literatures. And the countries, the top leading companies of scientific publications, as of 2018 data, this is the latest data available. So on that basis, you see, we are in third position. India is in third position. China, United States, India, Germany, Japan, UK, Russia, and Italy. So in this way, we are leading the world scientific team for publication. We have got a very significant role on that. And when we are studying the scholarly articles, other works related to the subject of interest of yours, you get an idea that what has already been studied and how you studied fits into existing research must acknowledge the previous research on your topic. And the fourth quality of a researcher is good research uses relevant empirical data, proper data analysis method. So on the most important quality of a good research study is that it deals with empirical data, observation. I mean to say, in that way, your experimentation will be taking place. So it is crucial that doing good research, because empirical data is considered objective, unbiased evidence. And when the data analysis process comes for a good researcher, because we believe in relevant use of research through empirical data and proper data analysis method. So we have to define the question. The first step is define the question. Then only data collection will be taken place. Then we have to filter the data and we have to analyze the data, and we have to share our kind of like findings. And this is the good quality. And the fifth is good research is representative and generalizable. That means good research includes a representativeness, which refers to a sample's ability to represent a larger group. Because you see, the characteristics of a subject people, I mean to say the society being studied very closely match those of the studies target to population. You see, whenever our topic says that we must take a quite good number of population, in that case, we should take more sample from the population. Then only drawing sample and making generalize will be more effective, because this is a good quality of a good I mean to say research paper. If at all we are missing adequate number of sample from the population looking into our subject, then what will happen after sometimes the gap immediately can be discovered that we could not be able to cover the whole population because our topic was demanding to cover more population. So good research is very much representative and generalizable in nature. Then good research is guided by logic. So without any logic, because you see, there is two kinds of reasoning. One is inductive, one is deductive research. So inductive is always specific observation and general conclusion. But deductive is existing theory, because the theory is existing. We have to formulate the hypothesis. Data collection will be there, analysis of data will be there. Then only we will be in a position to reject or accept the hypothesis. So being guided by logic throughout the research process also help the researcher spot fallacies and inconsistencies in their claims and findings. So the logic process of induction and deduction can also be valuable in the research process. This is the sixth number of good quality. Then seventh number of good quality is good quality has external validity. Because you see, we have two kinds of validity. One is internal validity, one is external validity. So good research has got external validity if its results and findings can be applied to the real world. So as you know very well that there are two types of external validity for researcher. One is population validity, one is ecological validities. So looking into that, the research with findings that can be generalized from the sample to the larger population has a high population validity. So in this case, we must see how our research has got external validity, because external validity can be findings the generalized to other situation outside the experimental situation. You see, it has got a wide meaning. If at all the real world could not be able to follow our research, and they cannot take our research, they will never study our findings, then what is the kind of validity of our result and our findings? And the eighth good quality is good research is always replicable, reproducible, and transparent. You see, these are the most important three qualities and characteristics of a research. As you know very well, nowadays it has got very much conducive. It has got very much flexible. When we people, we are sitting in front of a computer, we have got all kind of like reproducible, reliable, transparent, and replicable things are there, and that can be good researcher. Always you remember, as a good researcher, your research work must be reproducible through replicability and reproducibility, that interchangeably it is related, and research is reproducible if researcher achieves the consistent result used from data, same data and analysis method. And if at all our research work is not reproducible, we cannot produce it anywhere, nobody will cite it, nobody will read it, then what is the use of doing research? So our research must be replicable, reproducible, and transparent in nature. That means we must follow the plagiarism and other things very, I mean to say, closely when we are doing a research. And the ninth quality of a research is a good research acknowledges its limitations and provides suggestion for future research. You remember, when we are going to find the key findings, then we have to go for interpretation, discussion, implications, and we have to acknowledge the limitations and state the recommendation. If these 5 steps we are unable to follow, then how the future researcher will be benefited out of your research? You see, it is a chain. I told you, it is a continuous process. Whatever today we are seeing, tomorrow that may not be available. I mean to say, change is the only constant word of this world. So changing is the nature of the society. So then only all changes brings like research problems, and we are in a position to find out the research gaps. So yeah, we have in many cases the suggestions are future researchers, then the research limits to be written, and when we are talking about acknowledge the limitations, we must evaluate the impact of limitations in our research. How much limitations can be taken, and it has got an impact on our research. You see, we cannot straight away tell that because of time limit I could not be able, because of time constraint I could not be able to do. We must go with the timelines. We must have own timelines to complete our paper. If at all our thesis, our dissertation, if at all we are unable to follow our own timelines, then we cannot simply tell that this is my limitations. So limitations, to be very, very scientific way, you have to write the limitations. And the 10th is, good research is always ethical one. And you remember, because research ethics follows FFP definition of misconduct. One is falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism. So we must, when we are writing a paper, that means we must writing that paper with honesty, with objectivity, with integrity, with accountability. So if at all we are not in the race, we cannot meet the requirements, then certainly our paper, our contribution may not be followed by the future researcher. So fabrication is most important thing, because you see, because it is kind of a manipulation or omission of data or findings. It is a falsification. Fabrication is like is a kind of like materials or equipments and other thing, creation of like non-existent of data and results, and we are acting that we have made it and we have collected. This is fabrication. We have fabricated. And plagiarism always, you see, all organizations, I mean to say publishing house, including our kind of regulatory body, 10%, below 10% plagiarism is acceptable, and it includes, you remember, it includes the references. So you must use reference paraphrasing system. You must learn that how that will be mitigated. And in my conclusion, I'll be telling that I'm very much happy that today I have been assigned this kind of like responsibility to deliver my thought, I have shared something with you all. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. So I have explained how 10 quality is important. 10 qualities, top 10 qualities are very much important for finishing or for completing a research dissertation, maybe a research paper. Always I say that research paper, if at all you are very much skilled in writing research paper, you can write the thesis, you can write the dissertation, because thesis is a kind of like expansion or kind of expansion of a paper. If at all you have got an art how to write a paper, so it will become very much easier for you to write your thesis and dissertation. It is nothing but an expanded version of a paper writing skill. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Over to Professor Saikia.